Thanks for joining us. I'm David. I'm a naturopath for about 30 years. And the goal of these sessions that I'm doing is just to introduce people to naturopathy. Of course, do know Tim, and he knows about naturopathy. But maybe there's some nuances of it that aren't known. So first of all, I'm just going to ask what attracted you to this meeting, Lee, and what you would hope to get out of it.
Well, it was good to see an email from you after so long. It was nice to touch base again. I've always been interested in what you do, and I've got a girlfriend who's a naturopath as well, so I'm far more comfortable with natural therapies than I am with the prescription medications that they try to shove down your throat, basically. And when I saw the topic, it's very relevant to me. So anything that I can learn is a positive.
Great. Thank you for that. And Tim, of course, we've been together for a while now. What attracted you to be here tonight?
Oh, mate, just to support you in this new initiative. And so now I'm here. What would I hope to get out of it? It's interesting. I did I had to look back through my old calendars, and they're busy, and then just bang, huge crash. And it seemed to happen around the 15th of June, and it's happened for the last 3 years. It didn't happen 4 years ago. I've been telling people this will be my 4th year. Yep. And yeah, I'm having a COVID shot soon. The right thing to do for other people. And yeah, I believe I'm pretty healthy at the moment and looking after my health, but I've just got this fear of history repeating itself. Okay. So what can I do to recover from that a bit more quickly?
Very good. All right, a little bit of history. And welcome both. I've been naturopath basically since 1988, and I've been practicing full time since then. And I started off by buying a health food shop. So that gave me the inclination to learn about naturopathy, to learn what I could do about naturopathy and how I could do it, so that I could just basically go ahead and help people as much as I could. And first of all, I had to find a way of finding out what was wrong with them. So I started off with just doing case histories, just finding out from what they would say they were doing. And it wasn't until I started to study iris diagnosis, I understood there were deeper ways of doing things. I'm just going to admit Barry and bring him in. And then after the iris diagnosis, I worked on actually discovering other methods of analysis which have stood me in good stead, one of which is RBTI analysis, which is urine saliva analysis, which I find and have taught throughout Australia for 20 years now. So it's an important way for me to go that I just admit Farah back. So I'm just talking, Farah, if you can hear us now.
She's still connecting to the audio, mate.
Yeah.
There she is.
She needs to unmute.
Hi, Farah.
Hello.
Hello, Farah.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Just talking about what got me into naturopathy, and I'm just wondering what in particular, what your interest is in naturopathy and being here tonight.
So what is your description of naturopathy? You just said, like, you were talking about that. It's how to treat your symptoms with naturopath or something like that?
With natural means, yes. How to treat symptoms and conditions with natural means. And that could be nutrients, herbs, all different sorts of things.
I'm very much interested in that sort of stuff, to be honest. And I just like, I prefer treating any ailment with with natural things, and I do get days when I feel very down, so I try to do natural sort of stuff to cure that. That's why this course attracted me, and I thought, like, I might gain some more knowledge about it.
Yes. So welcome. Is there anything in particular you would like more knowledge on?
Low moods. I do get very I tend to lose motivation at times, and that's my main thing. So I want to keep myself very motivated.
Okay. And Lee, was there anything in particular you were interested in, health-wise?
Well, from when I first met you, those things still exist. So those conditions still exist, and more things have happened. So I still have difficulty with sleeping, depression, anxiety. And I found that over time, the thing that concerns me a lot now that I'm trying to get back into the workforce is my lack of resilience. It doesn't take much for me to get quite sick all over again.
Okay. Yeah, well, I was just saying about where I've come from, and I used to get sick every year, but since I've started looking at things naturopathically, I haven't really been sick. So it's been a 30-year journey of understanding my body, understanding my health, and understanding what I could do, and using that knowledge to help others as well. And particularly by looking at the basics of our health and saying, okay, what do I need to be healthy? And then looking at it from that way. And when I found RBTI analysis and understood what that was, what the depths of that, and it's very deep subject, it gave me the insight as to the way to help people even more. So to start with, it's about the 4 building blocks of the body. It's about understanding that if I don't get those building blocks right, then nothing else in my body is going to work the way that I want it to work. So I'm just going to mute everybody except me for a minute. And just to be able to go on and explain a little bit more about what that's all about. So the importance is that this body is a physical body, but it also has a mental aspect of it, which is the brain and the way that the brain is working. And it has an emotional aspect, as in what emotions have I stored away and how are they affecting me? And it has an aspect of the spiritual as well. And to me, the spiritual is merely, am I on the right path? So if I'm not on the right path for myself, I can actually make myself physically sick, because whatever I'm holding on to that's stopping me from being on that right path is usually a fear, a false pride, or a strong will that I'm just going to do things my way. And sometimes that doesn't work out as well as it could. So it's more about, what do I need to do to get and keep my body healthy? And I always look at it when I'm first starting with people to say, I need to look at the 4 building blocks. And the 4 building blocks are the building blocks that I use are, first of all, water, food, minerals, and enzymes. And the reason for that is that tells me if the body is going to respond to what I'm asking it to do. So the first thing is, if you're not well, the first thing is to really set an intention to be well. So that's number 1, the intention. And then to find out, where is the body out of balance? What's actually happening to the body? Now, I use an analysis system called RBTI because it tells me how much water the person is drinking and how much they need to drink. It tells me more about the food they need to eat and the minerals that are needed and the enzymes that are needed. But that's not the only thing that naturopathy does. Naturopathy also looks at the overall condition of the self by the 4 pillars. And those 4 pillars are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So it's about bringing all those things together to help the whole system function more effectively. Now, we talk about the 4 building blocks, the water, food, minerals, and enzymes. The next thing to look at is anybody that is unwell or sick has too much pressure in it, has too much stress or too much pressure. So what we need to do is take the pressure out of the body and off the brain. Because the reason for the brain is that the brain controls the nerves and how the messages are going to the rest of the body. And the body sends the messages back to the brain. If there's any reason that the brain can't function effectively, it won't get the messages from the body, and the body won't be able to send the messages to the brain. So therefore, healing will be much slower. Things that could be done in a short period of time will happen in a much longer period of time. And these are things like chronic fatigue, Epstein-Barr virus, which is one of the main creators of chronic fatigue, all the viral type loads, even you'll see it with the COVID loads now, that there are people going into chronic conditions of pain that don't know how to overcome those conditions. And basically, it's about finding the cause of the problem in the first place. And sometimes that needs a dig deep to find out that cause, and I would use hypnotherapy for that, which was what we were talking about last Saturday, was how to use hypnotherapy, interactive hypnotherapy, hearing from the body what's going on with it. And other times it would be using what I call what is the RBTI analysis, which is finding out where is the body in relationship to the amount of water that it needs, the food it needs, the minerals it needs, and the enzymes that it needs. Now, all of those things can be brought into the body as long as they are the right things for the body. So any stress that the body feels, long-term stress, old stress, childhood stress, any stress at all, which is held in the body, is going to create pressure within the body. And the more pressure that is created within the body, the more the body is likely to break at its weakest point. So if we allow the body to continue in that stressful sense, I'm not good enough, this isn't right for me, I'll just go and eat worms, I'll eat hamburgers, drink Coke, I'll do this, or even just, I've got a food intolerance, but I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to trial some things, and then people cut out too much. So it's more about what is right for the individual body. And the one thing that naturopathy is more than anything else is treating the individual, knowing what the individual needs. So I'm an individual, you're an individual. Each of us as an individual needs certain things. The goal is to make sure that those things can get into the body. And that can only happen when the body cooperates. And as long as we have a stress on the body, what is actually happening is that the adrenals are under pressure. So therefore it's releasing more adrenaline and cortisols. That affects the liver function, because the liver then has to release sugar, because this puts us into fight, flight, and fright, which is where we come through anxiety. The liver then has to work overtime. It's got about 2,000 different functions, but it's got 22 odd primary functions. And anytime the liver is overloaded, nothing in the body is going to work properly because of all those functions that it has to take on. Then once the liver puts the sugars into the system so the person can run or fight or do whatever they want to do, because of the stress, the pancreas has to come in and knock that sugar back down. So the pancreas gets overworked. Now, what that's resulting in these days is massive increase of diabetes, because the amount of stress that we have is causing this system to go out of control. And then that affects the thyroid. And you'll see many, many women with thyroid problems, men with thyroid problems, where you can even see the rings around the neck. You can see the overloading of the thyroid gland. And the rule in naturopathy is any organ which is overworked eventually becomes unable to work. So if the adrenals are overworked, that leads to chronic fatigue. If the liver's overworked, that can lead to cancer. If the pancreas is overworked, that can lead to diabetes or cancer. If the thyroid is overworked, that can lead to thyroiditis or hyper or hypothyroid. And if the thymus is overworked, that leads to depletion of the thyroid gland, drying out of the thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland shrinks, and then the immune system cannot cope in the way that it is needed to cope. Now, as a naturopath, and my job is to help people put their lives back together, I have to look at it from the point of view of what is the process I'm going to use for each of these situations. So I get people to fill in a case history form and a stress evaluation questionnaire to find out where they are. Once I know where they are, then I can start to look at what do we need to do to help people get to where they want to go, to their intention. And then it's a matter of knocking down the hurdles, knocking out the blockages, knocking out those things which are in any way stopping the person having the life that they actually want. And it doesn't matter what it has been in the past. It doesn't matter where it's come from. What's really important to understand is it's not your fault. It is instead that you haven't known how to do it. And not only haven't you known how to do it, you haven't had the skills to do it. So part of the process is to teach you the skills along the way, so that even if I'm not there, the healing can continue. Whether you go to another naturopath, whether you see somebody else about anything that you're doing, you have more skills than what you started with, because you are looking and focusing on results. You're not just allowing people to give you medications or operate on you or anything else without getting the information that you need to help you to heal. So let's go back to where we started from, and that was water. So the first question is really, how much? Well, it's very simple. Carey Reams, in doing the RBTI analysis, worked out in many thousands and thousands that the best amount of water is 33 mils per kilo of weight daily. And that doesn't mean that someone who's 100 kilos drinks 2 liters once and then another liter. It means that water is drank consistently through the day to get the best results. So the best results come when a person says, I will drink my body weight, it converted to mils, every half hour. So I'm at nearly 90 kilo. At 90 kilo, I need 90 to 100 mils every half hour. So if I drink 200 mils, that's half of this and then half of this again in the next half hour. And that's sustaining my body at the level that it needs water. Now, sometimes as we go along, we might put lemon water, we might put lime water, we might put something in the water to pick up the energy as a person goes along. The importance is to get that set in a person's mind that the water is important. It is critical for the health of the body. And the reason it's critical is because the thicker the blood, the harder the organs have to work, the more stress the body is constantly under. And the thing that thins the blood down more than anything else is getting the right amount of fluid into the body so that the blood can flow more freely around the body, which means that the sugars in the blood and the salts in the blood are diluted, and therefore there is less pressure on the organs and less stress in the body. Because as I said before, we're talking about the amount of stress and the amount of pressure in the body, and we want to bring both of those down. Now, that's water. What sort of water to drink? Well, that's pretty simple. As clean as you can get. Filtered, reverse osmosis, and in critical cases, distilled water for a while. Because the goal of the water is to take the impurities out of the body. The only proviso with that is not to drink more water than your body can handle. So if my body at 90 kilos needs 90 mils of water every half hour through the day, then if I do that consistently, over time, my blood will be the right consistency, my carbohydrate levels will tend to balance, I'll have the energy I need to maintain my health going forward. So as long as I can keep that response system going, I will have good health. So provided I haven't got a breakdown of the tissues or anything else going on that I'm not dealing with. So, but water is a critical first step. The next step is food. Now, food, and you ask, because there's so many diet books, what sort of food? Well, that's a little more complicated. And it's more complicated because it has to be the food that is right for your body. So the goal is not to starve yourself. The goal is to eat the food that is right for your body and to know what that food is. Now, as long as you are tuning into your body, you will know more and more what food agrees with you and what food doesn't. So some people can eat too much fruit. If they eat too much fruit at the wrong time of day, they have energy at the wrong time of day. If they're fructose intolerant, which can often lead to a craving for fruit, then that alone can contribute to them not being healthy. People can eat too much meat. They can eat too much bread. They can eat wheat and they're intolerant to wheat. So that's where a therapist can come in and help set the diet that actually is going to work for the individual. So with every client I'm looking at, and other practitioners do it as well, is to look at the type of food that is right to eat and then the type of food to avoid, and to be able to tell the difference so that everything in the body is about bringing energy back to the body. So, and the way that we know how that is again, noticing what the body needs, noticing how the body balances. And then we come to the reason for the food, and the reason for the food is minerals. Because we need the minerals in the food to be able to make things in the body. And the major things that we make in the body are the enzymes to digest the food, to get the nutrients out of the food, to get the minerals out of the food so that we can make the enzymes, and it's all a catch-22. So we need the water to break down the food and activate the enzymes. We need the minerals in the food in the first place, and that's a big failing now because a lot of the food doesn't have the minerals in it used to have. And the processed foods that are on the market generally have much higher sodium ratios than they do potassium, and potassium is much more needed by the body than the sodium is. And the more sodium that someone has, the more potassium they excrete. So it's that balance again, it's that tug within the body of what does the body actually need as opposed to what is being put into the body. And that's the role of the naturopath. The naturopath's role is to understand what are the minerals this body needs, what is the food the body needs, what is the water intake the body needs, what are the enzymes the body needs, and how can we help the body get those things from the foods that are available. So minerals, again, which ones? Well, again, the ones your body needs. And for me, that might be zinc. For someone else, they may need extra calciums of all different sorts. For someone else, they may need magnesium. So it's a matter of the assessment, and that's where the naturopath again comes in, is to help assess which things does the individual need for their body. And as long as they've got an analysis system that works, they will be able to tell you fairly accurately, if they're experienced, what you need as an individual to help your body maintain its health and improve its health. So, and then we come to the one which most people don't know much about, and that's enzymes. So the 4 building blocks of the body: water, food, minerals, enzymes. Now, the simple fact of our life is, without enzymes, we die. Enzymes are the workhorses in the body. Enzymes are the things which create in our body the opportunity for us to grow. Without enzymes breaking down the food, without enzymes working in the body, without enzymes helping our hormonal system, without enzymes, our body is not going to function as well as it otherwise would. And again, which ones? Well, the ones your body needs. And that means knowing the types of enzymes that you need and knowing which ones you don't have enough of, and then supplying those enzymes either in the food that you eat, which is why one of the reasons why I always recommend vegetable drinks, because they have live enzymes in them, whether it's a vegetable juice or a vegetable drink with a fiber in it, which is usually healthier for the body. It is important to get live enzymes from the food so that those enzymes can be put to work digesting the food that the person has. Now, to do that, it's important that the food actually has the enzymes and that you have the capacity within your body to break down that food anyway. And if we go back to the stress situation I was talking about before, when I was talking about stress, when the adrenals shut down, right, and they overwork and the sugars are thrown out in the body, the digestive system shuts down. So the stress itself, and carrying that stress from any time in your past or any time in your present or any time you are thinking about a stressful event in the future, it shuts down your digestive system. And it does that because when you're in fight, flight, fright, you don't need your digestive system to work because you're too busy working out whether you're going to run or fight or just stay like a rabbit in the headlights and hope nobody notices you. So any person who's in a stressful situation, who overworks themselves, who overdoes the situation of their life, of their body, can end up with permanent stress in their system until they recognize the necessity for rest and time out. Time out as in go on holiday. That's why the doctors usually used to say, you just need a month off, go on a cruise. I just don't recommend it right now. But that used to be the way. It would be go on a cruise, get some rest, go and breathe some fresh air, take in some ozone. And we know that that worked for a lot of people because it gave them time to de-think, just stop thinking so much, get more in touch with the body, go swimming, enjoy things, do things. And it's really important for most people to be able to do that. And the reason for that is that any time we don't do that, we are depleting the energy of our body. And despite what we may think that we're healthy or that we're going well, we're actually on a downhill slide. And depending on the strength of the body, the constitution of the body is just how far that slide will go. So if the blood sugar goes out of balance, any of these conditions can develop. So from 1,100 people, 94% had nervousness, 89% irritability. These were patients of a doctor. 87% exhaustion, faintness and dizziness, depression, 77%, drowsiness, 71, 72, headaches, 69, digestive disturbances, 67, constant worrying, unprovoked anxiety, 62%, and so on and so forth. So understanding that a lot of the conditions of your body will come about because of the stress that your body has been under through not getting those 4 basic building blocks right. And your body can restore its integrity by getting those building blocks right. So I'm just going to unmute and just go around and just check that everyone is okay with what's going on so far.
Yep, but so far so good.
So Lee, for you?
Yeah, so far so good. That all makes sense.
Okay. Farah, for you?
Yes, I'm really enjoying the session. Yes, very good.
Thank you. Tim, for you?
It's just I'm wondering, are you...
another drink out of my great big water bottle. Thanks, mate. Yeah, and yeah, it's sort of I seem to be doing a lot of this stuff, and I didn't used to do it. So
yes.
Yeah, pleased with my progress. Thank you.
Yep. And Farah, you had another question?
Yeah, I have a question. You said that if we have a body weight like 70 kg, let's say, so that means 70 ml water we have to drink every half an hour, I think?
Yes, 70 mil. If you're 70 kilo, about 70 to 80 mil every half hour.
All right. Okay. And but what about food then? Food-wise, what did you say? Is more vegetables and...
More vegetables, definitely. If you have aches and pains in your body, avoid nightshades, tomato, potato, capsicum, and eggplant in the main, because those foods tend to create more inflammation in an already inflamed body or add inflammation to the body. And they're not
Which
easily...
food, sorry? Which foods?
Nightshades. Tomatoes, potatoes, capsicum, and eggplant.
Oh, okay. And also, you said something about the drinks, like stuff like kind of fizzy drinks and stuff like that. I forgot about what did you say about? No, sorry, no. Frozen food, like you said, potassium is more important than what
sodium.
was that?
Than sodium. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Sodium keeps us flexible, so it's necessary. But the balance within the body, if you look at natural foods, if you look at a chart of all the natural foods,
yeah.
Nearly every natural food has about 6 times as much potassium, 3 to 6 times as much potassium as it does sodium. When they can a food or preserve a food, they add more salt to it, which is the sodium, which depletes the potassium in the food. And you end up with 10 times as much sodium as potassium.
So can you tell any food which is good in potassium, like, so we can...
Most foods are good in potassium. So if you eat beans, for instance, like baked beans or black beans or cannellini beans or pinto beans or chickpeas, those sort of things, they are naturally high in minerals and amino acids that are needed to rebuild the body, but they do need some rice with them or some other form of extra amino acids to have a complete amino acid profile so that the body is getting all that it needs. And then they need a whole pile of vegetables with that so that they get even more nutrients out of that. So it's more than anything, it's about the balance of that is going into the body and how that balance is. So if a body takes in, say, too much coffee, it's going to deplete nutrients. If it takes in too much water, it's going to deplete nutrients. And you'll find a lot of people with chronic fatigue, with anorexia even, or bulimia, drink too much water. They drink too much. And they're depleting their body of the minerals, and that causes them not to be able to think clearly either. So clouded head, foggy brain, those are all conditions which can be overcome by getting the balance right within the body. And the more that that balance can be right, the more health that the body can take on board.
Is it possible to get the recording of this program?
Yeah, and I'll send it out afterwards. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be up on our YouTube channel as an unlisted, or actually I might even list this one as a listed one, so that people can just click on it and just say, okay, that makes sense. The other thing is that behind me, you'll see a poster, which I usually work with people with, and it's called A Path Out of Pain. And the poster has different areas, and this area here is pain hell. And that's where a lot of people get caught. They get caught there because their body's in aches and pains. They've got a sore back. There's this happening, that happening. It doesn't matter what happens. What matters, and I keep saying this, is what can I do about it and how can I do it? So the more I know what to do and how to do it, it's much easier for me to get back on track. And as I say before, it's not the fault of anybody that they're sick. It's more that most people don't know how to get well. And that's the realm of the naturopath, is to help people get well. The realm is to say, you have this condition, but this condition is not something you have to live with. This is a condition which you didn't have way back when. And now that you have this condition, it will have come on to you because of whatever has happened to you in the time since then. So it's more than anything, it's about looking at the timeline, understanding where that timeline is. Did I eat too much of the wrong food? Have I been eating dairy when I've got sinus problems or asthma or a congestion or a lymphatic congestion? Because dairy is one of the worst foods to congest the body. What about wheat? Well, wheat was modified 50 years ago, 45, 50 years ago, wheat was modified. And it was modified to make it less available to bacteria, so they could grow heavier crops in the paddock without it being affected by bacteria, and that it would store longer. The problem is we only still have the same bacteria in our gut as we had before, and now the wheat's been modified. More and more people are reacting to that wheat. And if they react long enough to that wheat, they can eventually react to gluten in the wheat, and then they can react to all gluten, and so on it goes. So, and the important thing is, again, to understand it's not that the food is an allergy as such, because the food intolerances that the body has can be broken down to 4 things. So the first thing is sensitivity. You can be sensitive to a food. The second thing is intolerance. You can be intolerant to a food. The third thing is overload. You can just have too much of that food. It's like some people eat eggs every morning for breakfast. Well, eventually, if you don't have enough of the right enzymes to break those eggs down properly, and the other things down that you're eating those eggs with, your digestive system will be unable to handle those eggs, because it's only the enzymes and the acids in the gut that allow those eggs to be digested. So the importance is to understand that no matter what is happening, no matter what is going on, there are answers that we can have and answers we can come to if we can look back, understand where things have developed from, and then do something about it. And it's about changing the diet, changing the way in which we face food and we eat food, and changing also some of the habits that we've got into that have kept us stuck in the path where we are. So, you know, I've had people who said, you know, I've got rheumatoid arthritis, for instance, right? Now, I can't treat rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not allowed to by law. So I don't treat rheumatoid arthritis, but somebody says I've got rheumatoid arthritis, and that means I've got aches and pains in my joints. My muscles are sore. I've got fibromyalgia. My gut is bloated and uncomfortable. I've got a fuzzy head. I can't think straight. And I'm just a mess. And I just feel so depressed and so anxious about where I am. All those things I can treat. All of those things, as a naturopath, I'm allowed to do something with. And so finding the right nutrients for a person allows that person to get rid of the fuzzy head, the aches and pains in the joints, the aches and pains in the muscles, the gut bloating and discomfort, that the bowel starts to work properly. All of these things in a system that work that way allow the body of that person to recover its health. Now, theoretically, rheumatoid arthritis cannot be cured. And that is true. If you treat rheumatoid arthritis medically, it cannot be cured. But if you read the book Curing Arthritis the Drug-Free Way by Margaret Hills, who was a nurse who had osteo and rheumatoid arthritis, who cured herself of those conditions and wrote a book about it, then you understand that the way you go about healing something in the body is to look at what nature needs for that body. And as long as we look that way, then the body itself can be healed. So, and the importance is to understand it's a slowish process because it didn't come onto the body overnight, or very rarely overnight. Although I've had people with back spasms that just happened like that. They didn't know anything was going wrong. Then they had a back spasm. But those things are usually emotional things. So the more that we understand what can be done with our body and how much we can do with our body, and I combine the naturopathy with hypnotherapy because I find that the hypnotherapy takes the pressure faster out of the body. And it's just the process. It's just the process. And it doesn't matter what the condition is. The condition is just the condition that someone comes in with. It's not the condition they have to keep. So, however, there is an importance of actually changing what someone is doing so that their health can improve. Because until someone is willing to walk through that door of willingness up there, you may be able to see that. And if you get the video, you can probably blow it up a bit. But walking through that door of willingness says, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to make changes. I'm willing to drink the water. I'm willing to eat the food. I'm willing to do what it takes that I can get my health and my energy back. I was talking to a guy the other day. He had a prostate problem. He had a 3.3 PSA, which is starting to climb up. And in about 6 months, he's down to 1.1. You know, but his health is better. His energy is better. He's more vital. He's noticing more things about himself. He's actually functioning much better. And those are the sort of stories that men tell me, women tell me over and over again. I feel so much different now. I feel so much better now because I'm doing more things for myself, because I'm looking after myself better. I'm not listening to what everybody else is saying. I'm following a process to help me get where I want to go. And that's why I said in the start, the first and most important thing is to set an intention. And then once you set the intention, to be able to follow that intention right through. And that means if somebody else says, oh, what are you eating that food for? You're okay with them asking that question, but you're not going to react and throw the food away. You're going to keep eating the food and say, it's making me healthy. I'm enjoying it. Because that's the important thing, to make sure that whatever you do, you're not doing it because you have to, you're doing it because you want to. You're making changes because you want to. And that's often a change of psyche. That's a change of thought, a change of, I don't have to live in fear of this anymore. I don't have to get stuck in my own false pride that I'm worried about what somebody else might think about what I'm doing. I'm doing this for myself. So someone says, why are you taking all those tablets and pills? You just say, they're making me healthy. They're helping me stay healthy. They're helping me do the things I want to do. They're helping me get rid of the pain. And they will usually go away. Because the important thing is that for me, this is my life. For each of you, that is your life. And unless you are the director of that life, it will never be what you came here for it to be. So I'm just open for comments now. Anybody who, and I'll just go through, I think, and just say, let's just unmute. Lee, have you got any questions? Is there anything that you're wanting answered still? Or has this covered some of the area that you would have?
No, the whole time you were speaking then, I was relating that to, I started the HCG diet in February.
Yes.
And I've done it for me, not for anybody else. And I'm in it for the long term. And I've hit plateaus and I've gained weight overnight when I've been really stressed by something, but then it's dissipated in the few days that follow. But I've just stuck with it regardless. So I've been to a number of birthday parties, and it's the other people that stress out because they're going, oh, you should eat something. No, I don't need to. I've eaten before I came. Oh, well, you should have some champagne. No, I don't want to. I'm quite happy to have water. And it's them who's more upset, whereas I'm quite happy about it. And then somebody said to me, how can you be so strong? And I said, well, I look at it this way. I'm doing this for me, and the only person that I'm hurting by eating that cake that you're offering or having the glass of champagne or whatever is me. It's like putting poison in my body that it doesn't want or need, and therefore I choose not to.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lee. And that's exactly right. It has to be a choice that you make, not someone else.
Yeah, and I've been very successful so far. I've got a long way to go. I'm a work in progress.
Very good.
But I'm really happy about
Very
it.
good.
So for the first time, it's moving in the right direction.
Very good. Farah, for you.
Sorry?
Yeah. Any other questions that you have? Anything that you're particularly concerned about with your health or a friend's health, neighbor's health, anybody? Or
it's just like I really feel lethargic sometimes, and now you have pointed out that it could be the food reason or intolerance, and I'm just thinking, what shall I take out from my diet or add into my diet? I need to work on it, to be honest.
Yeah, it is a sense, and if you train yourself, you can learn to trust your gut instinct. So we've got a brain to think with, right? We've got a heart to feel with, and we've got a gut that is our gut instinct. So bringing all of those into the equation actually helps us to respond to any situation, to be available in any situation, because we're more complete within ourselves then. So, and that's what I help my clients do. Okay, sometimes people think too much. Too much thinking is going on rather than feeling. rather than what is my gut telling me. So the instinctual area of the gut is a really underdeveloped area for most people. The heart, the feeling, what am I feeling? Which feelings have I shut down? Which feelings do I need to get back for myself? Am I afraid of being angry, or am I allowing my anger to overtake me and take me over? Like today, I was working with someone and she was afraid of her righteous anger. And we found out that the righteous anger was there within her and she was able to let it go. Now, time will tell whether that's enough, but she felt much different after the session because she had let that go. And letting that go meant that she was allowed to feel angry about something, but she could also learn to respond to the situation, not automatically be triggered into the righteous anger. So somebody gets in her space, she gets really angry very quickly, not because she can control it, but because she can't control it. And that's a reaction. So letting go of that means that instead of that feeling being there, she can say to the person, I'm really angry about this, just move out of my space, please. Right? Without blaming the person. By taking on the emotion herself, she's not blaming the person, she's actually protecting herself. She's protecting her boundaries. Because we all have boundaries and limits, and what's important is to be able to protect those boundaries and limits. And the more that you can do that in your life, the better you're going to feel. So, Tim, for you, anything that you have learned or is coming to you from this?
Yeah, just hearing the same stuff, but I pick up something different each time. And what I pick up this time is a lot about stress and intention. And what I'm trying to train myself to do is, I noticed the other day I felt tired, and it was okay because, I'd done a big training course. I delivered it and I was very proud of myself. So it was okay to be tired the next morning. But the next afternoon I was tired and I was pretty angry and grumpy. And what that boiled down to is I shouldn't be tired, and just allowing that to be, rather than blaming myself or blaming circumstances. Okay, I'm tired, I can just slow down a little bit. And I trusted that, and then, I was fine again. So, yeah, it gets back to, if I get this chronic fatigue thing again this year, I'm happy to be tired for a day or a few days. I just don't want to be tired for months.
Yes. Yeah, jumping on it early.
I'm working on everything I can to de-stress myself.
Yeah, jumping on it early is the way, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And Barry, we haven't heard anything from you. Anything useful here, sir? No, might have lost him a little bit. So, okay. So the important thing, just to recap, the important thing is to recognize that no one is an expert on themselves without training to be an expert on themselves, without learning the skills of being an expert on themselves. I might have expertise on myself now, but it took me 30 years to get it. Otherwise, I was sort of wandering in the wilderness a bit for the first 40 years of my life. And it's only in the latter years of my life where I've been able to say, I understand that now. I understand that now. And being able to skill myself to be able to help others through understanding myself more. So the more that you can understand yourself, the more that it is in your interest to study yourself and understand yourself and know yourself, and to ask for help when help is needed, the freer you will generally be to achieve the results that you actually want. So part of that is why we've created Mind Body Academy, is to do these sort of talks and trainings and put information out to people that can help yourselves and anybody else who watches this to start to get on track to see where they can actually go to create a better life for themselves. We did a session on hypnotherapy, and I'll be doing another session on hypnotherapy later on, because I think that interactive hypnotherapy is a real key to helping let go of the inner demons. It doesn't matter what they are. What matters is, do you want to keep them or would you rather let them go? Because if you've got an inner critic or an inner judge, if you've got anything within you that is criticizing you or judging you or causing spurts of anger or spurts of indignation or anything else, it doesn't have to be there. You can let it go. But the only way to let it go is to learn how. So that's where I can help. Here at Mind Body Academy, we can help. So if you want to learn more about that and you want to contact us, you can contact us at mindbodyacademy.com.au. You can email support. You can go online and find out what things we are doing. We are starting to run courses, so that's our next step. But also there you can go and you can fill out a stress evaluation questionnaire and a case history if you want to book in for a strategy call. And it's just a free 15-minute strategy call in which I'm just talking to you as an individual to help you change your health. Because I really do believe health is in our hands. It's in my hands to look after my own health with all the information I can gather from outside of me, bringing it to me and then choosing what works for me. And each of us as an individual can do that more and more and get the benefit of that once we really target what it is we want to achieve. And it doesn't really matter what it is. If we're in pain and we want to get out of pain, it's about asking, what can I do to get out of pain, rather than why am I in pain? Because the question why is a real sword to the gut. It takes us down rabbit holes that we don't want to go to. So what I tend to do is train people always to ask, what can I do and how can I do it? And that woman I was talking about, Margaret Hills, who cured herself of rheumatoid and arthritic and osteoarthritis and saved herself from being in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. That's what she did. She said, I have to do this myself. I have to find a way to do this myself. Another woman called Donna McKechnie, who was a principal dancer in a chorus line in New York when it opened, found herself with rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia, and she cured herself. And even in her 80s, she's now still dancing when the medical system said she'd be in a wheelchair and have to be pushed around and looked after for the rest of her life, because there was no answers for her in that system. So she did the same things I'm talking about here. She transformed her life by looking at what wasn't working, by changing her emotional balance, by looking within and letting go of all the emotional stuff that she had. And by doing that, she freed herself from all of that pain that she was carrying over from her childhood, failed marriages, relationship breakdowns, and all the rest of it. And she changed her diet, ate food that was more suited to her body under guidance, and became a dancer again as she was before, and opened her own school and danced all around the world. So all of this is possible. All of it is possible. The most important thing is to start by looking at where you are and asking where you want to go to. So If you are interested in working with myself, just go to Mind Body Academy, book in for a free strategy call. You'll get an email to tell you what to do from there. But just to take the information that we're providing tonight and utilize that information in whatever way suits you to have better health for you, because you can overcome anxiety and depression and tiredness and fatigue and traumas, especially traumas. All traumas in your life can be overcome. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone who's on the call, for your contribution.